We continue following the big breaking news story this morning. All of Austin and several of the surrounding areas under a boil order. City leaders saying this has never happened before.
Yeah, they're asking you to be patient and to do your part to help out right now. Our Jeff Stensland is live at Austin City Hall. And Jeff, what do people need to know?
Well, Ricky, they need to know exactly what actually I just saw you tweet out about 3 minutes ago, which was a photo of the Westlake HEB out of water at this point. There's been a run on water here in this early morning hours, and the city leaders asking folks, please do not do this right now. Try to conserve first and then stock up once necessary. These stores do not have the water supplies to be able to handle this boil water order that was issued at 3 a.m. and is in effect for the indefinite future. And because of that rain and that forecast that Burton just talked about, it could be several days because of turbidity in the water. That's the murkiness of the water here that is affecting all three of the city's water treatment plants. This area in green is the area affected, and that's literally the entire city of Austin and several other outlying areas that actually may buy water from the city of Austin. Austin Water Utility says that it reached out to those agencies overnight and let them know to advise all their customers to boil their water here until further notice. They've also had the health department out reaching out to different coffee shops and other places that may not have the capacity or ability to boil water to also know that the water must be boiled before it can be served and meet the health standards. Now, we did hear from the city's water department and water utility early this morning at 6 a.m. in a news conference. Director Greg Mazzaro says that this is an unprecedented experience to have a citywide boil order and have one last for who knows how long.
We've been reducing capacity at those plants to try to treat this high turbid or very cloudy water. It's of a level that we've never experienced in the history of our utility, and it's been a real struggle.
Now, Greg Mazzaro says that struggle lasting since last Tuesday was originally, they were trying to keep up with it. They were able to get about 300 million gallons a day filtered. The city uses about 100 million gallons a day. Then yesterday came and they were barely able to keep that 100 million gallons per day capacity going. That's because as they are cleaning, they pull water out and draw it from Lake Travis and Lake Austin, where the three water plants are located, they're having to go and clean those filters with whatever water they're saving. So they're having to pull out the water, and then he says they're having to use about half that water to then go clean those filters and then get them back up and going. That is why they ask that you boil your water for at least 3 minutes at a time. You only use boiled water to rinse your dishes. You can wash them in soapy water with the dirty water, but please make sure you use boiled water only to rinse them, and always keep any water that is going to come in contact with you, make sure it is boiled first or bottled. But please do not make a run on those stores right now. They are trying to build up their stocks. They actually have emergency supplies coming in to the emergency management agencies from across the region, and those truckloads should be coming here in the next couple hours. In the meantime, this affects more than 1 million people, so please beware. It's not just you and your office or your home. It's a lot of other people's too. We are live at Austin City Hall. Jeff Stensland, Spectrum News.
Until this chocolate milkshake-looking water subsides, Austin Water will struggle to properly treat enough drinking water to meet the city's demands, even under unprecedented restrictions that accompany the boil water notice. Greg Mazzaro says refilling their depleted system is touch and go.
You can see throughout most of the night, we had a big gap between produced water and used water, and that's what we're using to refill our reservoirs.
Those demands shrinking under high demand Wednesday afternoon. Austin Water issued the citywide boil water notice Monday morning, at the time out of caution. It became mandatory Wednesday morning after water failed to meet state standards at the water plant serving virtually all of South Austin.
It's the plant that is experiencing the worst quality water and is the plant that is struggling the most to come back into capacity and drinking water quality.
The utility's meeting room, now a 24-hour operations center. Screens monitor all three water treatment plants. Mazzaro says disinfection's been no problem for Austin Water.
The turbidity side, a measure of the cloudiness, that has been where we've been bumping up against the standard.
He says the cloudier the water, the higher possibility that harmful bacteria could exist. This was water I boiled Tuesday night and tried to filter Wednesday morning. Safe to drink, but unappetizing to see. As the call to conserve continues, Austin's largest water user says it's doing what it can. In a statement, Samsung says it will try to cut water use by 10% by the end of the week. The utility says every step taken to conserve helps them recover that much faster.
Yeah, this is actually a look at those water quality reports that were coming out from Austin Water here. This right here is actually for Ulrich Water Treatment Plant. This is one of the 3 water treatment plants that the city of Austin has. And this shows you the water that was coming into them before they treated it. Usually it's down here, about a 2 or so most days, then up to a 5 on Wednesday the 17th. That's after the bridge had collapsed up there by Llano, but before the boil water notice. Then Thursday it went up to an 11. Friday it was up to 183 versus a 2, mind you. And then up to a 387 by that next Monday. Now keep in mind that the public had no clue what was going on at that point, or actually it was a 387 on that Sunday there. The public was advised on this day, that Sunday, to conserve water because they were having a hard time treating it. Well, I want to show you, this is the water that were coming in and how it looked coming in as far as murkiness was concerned. This is what it looked like as far as being able to treat that water and get it out into the system. This is usually what it is for that Ulrich water treatment plant, usually about million gallons of water a day coming out of there. It has a large capacity. You can see it drop down to 26 million gallons per day on that Sunday and Saturday, and then had a hard time struggling to kind of get back up the rest of that week there as we had that big issue. That's when the water notice was issued. So they had some issues there kind of leading up about 2 or 3 days before the public was informed. I want to show you another chart here which shows you kind of where, as that one dropped, the other one across Lake Austin from it went from producing its usual 38 or so million gallons per day. They had to shoot that up once it started working again at 55 to 60, just to be able to help keep up kind of the back end of that and help fill in the gaps there on the overall system. This last chart I want to show you has all 3 water treatment plants here producing water here throughout the month. This right here, the green line, is your total water production per day. And you can see right here, this is on the 17th that I pointed out, that Wednesday. And this is where they started to see things drop down. That Thursday, about 111 total capacity, 113 on Friday, dropping down to 72 that Saturday. That is why those tanks and the reservoirs across Austin Water dropped so fast, and that's why they were literally using more water than they were able to produce. That's what led to the boil water notice. We have a lot more information we're still trying to get from the city of Austin. We'll bring that to you here as soon as we can and help to contextualize it a little bit for you.
After 3 weeks, Austinites can finally water their lawns again. But the head of Austin Water asks, why would you?
You shouldn't be irrigating now anyways, right? It's the middle of November, it's freezing out.
Greg Mazzaro says the water restrictions were critical to preventing the city's reservoirs from running dry. They were issued alongside a citywide boil water notice, which Austin Water said Tuesday was at first not mandatory.
I'll be honest, when I heard about it, I didn't really focus on the preemptive nature of it. I just heard boil the water because if you drink it, you may get sick.
Councilmember Leslie Poole also asked why the city did not use reverse 911 immediately or send out an official emergency alert.
Perhaps there's a amber alert that's required, or a silver alert, or flooding is imminent. We didn't believe that we were in that kind of a situation that required that kind of notification, at least in the early going, and particularly since it was going to be early in the morning.
It seemed to come late. And late meaning after 6 in the morning, when a lot of the coffee shops and other restaurants were already getting their prep started for the day.
Mazzaro says one measure Austin Water needed last month, underground water storage. The city would treat water, then pump it into aquifers to use later.
We would have been able to turn that on. That water would have been safe. It would have been drinking water quality.
He says conservation efforts the past decade also made an impact. While the utility's customer base has grown 50% in almost 20 years, we now use less water than we did in the late 1990s. He says that will help when the number of customers quadruples over the next century. At Austin City Hall, Jeff Stensland, Spectrum News.